The voice in the headphones was a boy, and the boy was dying, and the boy was asking in English whether anyone could hear him at all. Funker Conrad Vogel pressed the cans harder against his ears and held one finger up to keep the other men in the dugout quiet. He was 29 years old. He had been a teacher of German and English at a village gymnasium in Lower Saxony before a brown envelope arrived in the spring of 1942 and rearranged the rest of his life. He sat now at a captured American field set in a stone cellar in the Apennines south of Bologna in February of 1944, and he held one finger up while a stranger's son talked to nobody in the dark. "This is Sparrow 2, the boy said. The voice was high and steady and very tired. "I say again, this is Sparrow 2. I have 4 wounded and I am on a ridge I cannot identify, and my lieutenant is dead. If anyone reads this, I would like someone to know we were here." Vogel closed his eyes. He felt the cold of the stone through his uniform. He felt, for 1 second, the warm wood of a classroom lectern under his palm, in the autumn of 1939, when he had stood in front of 34 boys in scratchy collars and had read the opening line of a Frost poem off a card. "Whose woods these are, I think I know." He had translated it for them. He had asked them what woods they thought a man might want to stop in. Funker. That was Hauptmann Rother behind him, smelling of cold sausage. Was Hurstu? "An American forward observer," Vogel said, in German. "Lost, wounded, calling for anyone." "His position?" "He says he does not know it." Roth grunted. He was a fair officer for a captain who had once been a bank clerk in Stuttgart. He was not a party man. He was a man who wanted to come home to his wife. He bent down and looked at the dials and at the steady green flicker of the set. "Then leave him," Roth said. "He is calling his own people. They will find him or they will not." "Serve? You have a target list. Work the target list, Vogel." Roth straightened and went back up the stone steps to where the lieutenant was unrolling a map onto an ammunition crate. The blanket at the dugout's mouth flapped once and settled. Vogel sat with the headphones on his head and the wounded boy in his ears and the target list under his elbow, and he did not work the target list. He worked, instead, the small lever inside himself that he had been working since 1940. The lever was the question of how a man stays a man while he wears the uniform of a regime he did not vote for. He had asked the question for 4 years. He had not yet found a clean answer. "Sparrow 2, the boy said again. "Sparrow 2, I have water for maybe 2 more hours. My lieutenant's morphine Seretta is gone. The kid with the leg is the worst of them. If anyone reads me, please mark the time. 06:22. In the cellar, Vogel looked at his wristwatch. 6:22. Italian time, German time, the same time. The boy was somewhere within the radio's reach, which meant somewhere within 20 kilometers of where Vogel sat, perhaps closer. He looked at the set. The American field radio had been salvaged from a wrecked Jeep 3 weeks ago and patched together by a corporal from Hamburg who used to fix wireless sets in his father's shop. Vogel had spent 14 nights teaching himself its quirks. He could transmit on it. He had transmitted on it twice, in German, to test the carrier. He had never sent on it in English. He closed his eyes again and the classroom came back. The autumn of 1939 had been mild. The boys had still been wearing summer sandals into October. He had taught Frost and Auden because they were the simplest American poets to translate, and he had taught Shakespeare because the curriculum still required it. He had not taught Heine that year because Heine had been removed. He had taught instead a thin little volume of approved verse, and he had hated himself for it the whole term. On the last day before the Christmas break, he had gone home to his small flat above the baker's, and he had written a letter to his sister in Hamburg saying he did not know how long he could stand to keep doing what he was doing. He had not posted the letter. He had burned it in the kitchen sink. He had told himself he would do better next term. He had not done better. The brown envelope had arrived in April 1942, and within 6 weeks he had been in a radio school in Berlin, learning the carrier frequencies of armies he had once read poems aloud to in translation. Sparrow 2. The boy was crying now, not loudly, the way a man cries when he is trying to keep his voice, even for the men around him. Sparrow 2. I want my mother to know, if anyone reads this. My name is Daniel Kovacs, Kovacs, Daniel. I am from Cleveland. My mother is at 1241 St. Clair Avenue. Please, if anyone reads me, please. Vogel took the headphones off slowly. He laid them on the wooden table. He looked at the blanket at the dugout's mouth. He looked at the green flicker of the set. He picked up the headset microphone. He held it for a long moment in his hand, the way a man holds a pen he has not used in a long time. He pressed the talk bar. "Sparrow 2, he said. He said it in English. His English was very good. He had spent a year at a teacher's college in Edinburgh in 1936 on a small grant. His English carried a Scottish edge under the German that anyone who was paying attention would hear. "Sparrow 2. This is someone who can hear you," the carrier hissed. Then the boy's voice came back, fast, almost a sob. "Oh, thank God, thank God. This is Sparrow 2. Who am I talking to?" Vogel pressed the bar. He thought for 1 second about lying. He thought for 1 second about pretending to be a friendly station, an allied liaison, a partisan with a working set. He thought about the boy's mother on St. Clair Avenue. He thought about a classroom in 1939. "I am a German radio operator," he said. "I have heard your transmission. I am not going to give your position to my battery. I am not going to lie to you about who I am. Listen to me very carefully, Daniel. Can you hear me?" The carrier hissed for a long time. "I can hear you," the boy said. His voice had gone flat. "Are you going to kill me?" "No," Vogel said. "I'm going to try to help you not die. And then we are going to lose this conversation and never have had it. Do you understand?" "I think so." "Where are you?" "I told you, I don't know. Listen, look up. What do you see?" "Sky, pines, a stone wall. There's a stone wall. Old or new?" "Old, like ancient, like Roman. There are 7 of those in 15 kilometers. "What else?" There's a chapel below us, a bell tower. The roof is gone. I can see it through the trees." Vogel's hand went still. He knew that chapel. He had walked past it 3 weeks earlier, in the rain, with a wire detail. The chapel was on the southwest slope of Monte Castelloni, and there was a footpath up its eastern flank that the goats had cut down to bedrock over 1,000 years. "All right," he said. "I know where you are. There is a footpath on the east face of your ridge. It cuts down to the chapel. From the chapel, a track runs south through olive trees. South, not north. North will bring you onto a road we patrol every 2 hours. South will bring you down to a stream, and the stream will bring you to a stone farmhouse with a red gate. The farmhouse is empty. The owner went south in November. There is a well behind the farmhouse. There is a wagon track from the well that joins the Via Casalina 3 kilometers further south. Your lines are along that road. Do you have a pencil?" "I have a pencil." The boy's voice had a thread of life in it now. "Right. Footpath east face, chapel. South through olives, stream, farmhouse, red gate. Well, wagon track, Casalina. 3 kilometers? Got it. How many can walk?" "2 of us. The kid with the leg cannot walk. The other one is unconscious." Vogel closed his eyes. He thought of a stretcher. He thought of a goat path. He thought of the man with the leg. "Make a sling out of 2 rifles and a coat," he said. 2 men carry, 1 rests. You rotate every 200 meters. The unconscious man you carry on a poncho dragged. It is slow. You will be at the farmhouse by dark if you start in 20 minutes. Do not light a fire, drink from the well and wait. There is a partisan who comes through the farmhouse on Wednesdays. Today is Wednesday. He will find you. He is a small man with a black beard and a French accent. His name is enough that I cannot say it. Tell him a German on a radio told you to say the word Sturmvogel. He will understand." The boy was writing. The pencil scratched on something, faintly, through the carrier. "Why?" the boy said. "Why are you doing this?" Vogel did not answer for a while. He was thinking, again, of the classroom in 1939 and of a poem he had not been allowed to teach that year, a Heine fragment he had once whispered to himself, walking home in the dark. "Where they burn books, in the end they will burn people too." He had taught that line in 1933 to a class of 13-year-olds, and a woman from the local party office had come to his door 3 nights later and asked him with terrible politeness to please not do that again. He had not done it again. He had kept the line in his head instead, the way a man keeps a coin under his tongue, for when it might one day be needed. "Because I was a teacher before this," he said into the microphone. "Because your voice sounds like a boy I taught. Because there is a war on, and I did not vote for it, and I cannot stop it, but I can do this one small thing. Because somewhere, a woman on St. Clair Avenue is going to want her son back." The carrier hissed. "I'm 17, the boy said. "I know. My lieutenant lied about my age on the form. I know. There was a pause. Then the boy said, very quietly, "What's your name?" "Conrad." "Conrad." "Yes. Conrad, after the war, if we are both alive, I want to write to you." "No," Vogel said. "After the war, we will not write. After the war, you will go home to Cleveland and you will marry a girl and you will have children and you will tell one of them, when they are old enough, that a German on a radio once helped you down a hill. That is what you will do. I will do that. Now go, 20 minutes. The light is changing. They will find you on that ridge if you stay. Conrad, go." "Thank you." The carrier went quiet. Vogel sat for a long time with the headphones in his hand. He could hear, faintly, the morning sounds of the cellar coming back, boots on the stone steps, the hiss of a Primus stove. Hauptmann Roth somewhere above, speaking with the lieutenant about a misrouted ration column. He took a small notebook from his breast pocket. He wrote, in pencil, in his own private code that was based on a Goethe edition only he and his sister owned, one sentence. He wrote it slowly, and then he closed the notebook and put it back in his pocket. The sentence was, "Today, on the southwest slope of Castelloni, I sent a boy down a goat track." He took the headphones off the table and put them back on his head. He turned the dial back to the assigned battery frequency, he picked up his pencil and looked at the target list in the lamplight. The list named 3 Allied artillery positions to be triangulated by direction finding before noon. He worked the list. He triangulated badly. He gave the 3rd position a bearing that was 9 degrees off, which was within the range of legitimate atmospheric error and which would put the German counter-battery fire onto an empty olive grove. He had done that before. He would do it again. He had been doing it, in small ways, since the first month he had been issued a uniform. He had told himself, when he had started doing it, that the war was already going to be lost and that what he was doing changed nothing. He had told himself that for 2 years, and then he had stopped telling himself that because it had become beside the point. Hauptmann Roth came down the steps and stood at his shoulder. "Anything new?" "Atmospheric trouble," Vogel said. "I have 3 positions. The 3rd is uncertain." "How uncertain?" "I would not waste a shell on it." Roth looked at him for a long moment. Roth was not a stupid man. Roth knew, perhaps, that his radio operator had been making certain kinds of mistakes for a long time. Roth had never asked. Roth had a wife in Stuttgart and 2 daughters in school and a job at a bank that would be there if he could only get home. "All right," Roth said. "Drop the 3rd, we have 2. He went back up the steps. Vogel sat in the cellar for the rest of the morning and the carrier hissed in his ears and the boy did not come back on the line. At 10 the sky brightened over the ridge above. At 11 a partisan column moving south on an unmapped goat track came down past an old chapel and gathered up 4 wounded Americans at a stone farmhouse with a red gate. Vogel did not know that yet. He would not know it for 31 years. In June of 1975, a letter arrived at a small bookshop in the town of Goslar, addressed in a careful American hand to a man named Conrad Vogel. The shopkeeper, who was Vogel's widow's brother and who held the shop's deed because the widow could not read English, opened it and read it twice. The letter was from a man in Cleveland, Ohio, named Daniel Kovacs. The man wrote that he had spent 31 years looking for a German radio operator who had once helped him down a hill in February 1944. He wrote that he had married a girl named Anna and that they had 4 children, and that the second one was a daughter named Helga because his wife had said it was a beautiful German name. He wrote that he had told all 4 children, when they were old enough, about a man on a radio. He wrote that he understood that he was probably writing into the dark, but that he had wanted, once in his life, to put the words on a page. The shopkeeper sat for a long time with the letter on the counter. He closed the shop, he walked across the cobbled square to a small cemetery on the hill behind the church, and he stood at a grave that bore the words Conrad Vogel, 1915, 1957, Lehrer und Funke, and he read the letter aloud, slowly, in German, translating as he went. He did not skip a word. The medic was a composite. The radio operator was a composite. The chapel is real. The footpath down the east face of Monte Castelloni is real. The Heine line is real. And the choice that lay between them, on that morning in February of 1944, in a stone cellar somewhere south of Bologna, the choice a conscripted schoolteacher made when a wounded boy's voice came into his headphones was made, in small ways and in larger ways, by more men in that war than any official report has ever counted. They worked their target lists badly, they sent boys down goat tracks, They kept lines of Heine under their tongues for the day the lines might be needed. They did not stop the war. They did not save the regime they wore the uniform of. But they kept, quietly, in the dark, the small flame of a thing the regime had tried very hard to put out, the simple fact that the man on the other side of the line is a man, with a mother and a name, and a voice that breaks when he is frightened, and a right to go home. That flame, carried by quiet men in every army of that war, is the only reason any of the rest of it could mean anything afterwards at all.